Hey everyone, welcome back to the Midwest Stitches YouTube channel. My name is Danielle and this is my channel where I talk about all crafting stuff, whatever that might be. So today, first things first, we'll start off with the admin stuff. It's gonna be a bit of a rambly, maybe a rambly video because it's been a couple weeks since I recorded and life has been kind of nuts, and we'll talk about that. So first things first, you can find me on Instagram at midwest.stitches. You can find my Ravelry pages on Ravelry at Midwest Stitches or my website at midweststitches.com. And the second thing is, if you see a lot of stuff in my background back here, it is messy right now. I'm, reorganizing some things and kind of going through some stuff, clearing out some clutter, blah, blah, blah. You guys probably know the deal. We've all been there. So it's just a mess right now back here, and it's driving me crazy, but we'll get through it. As you probably saw from the title of this video, I don't want to drag this part on. So I'll just talk about it up front. So some changes that are coming to the Midwest Stitches business. So I'm not going to be making project bags for a while. I'm taking a little break from my shop. There's a lot of reasons, and I'll talk about a few of them here. It mostly has to do with my full-time job. So I obviously have a full-time job outside of my business, and here in the last couple months, that has become increasingly more mentally taxing on me. Some changes happening at work, etc. And so mentally that's taking up more space, and it's making it harder for me to, I don't know how to really explain it, but when I'm not doing that full-time work, mentally, I don't want to be doing more work. And, Adrian pointed out to me a while ago that, essentially with my full-time job, which is 40 hours a week, and, my side business, which I love, I'm essentially working 80 hours a week. So, because every minute that I wasn't doing my full-time job, I was, sourcing fabric, cutting the fabric, doing all of the things, the marketing, the emailing, just all of the stuff that goes into running a small business. And I really enjoy that stuff, but it's, obviously I'm a very, very small business, so I don't make enough to go full steam ahead with that. I would love that. Oh, that'd be amazing to be able to do that as my full-time job for income. But unfortunately, we're just not there, and that's okay. That's just the reality of the situation. So I'm taking a step back from my business, at least for a couple of months, to reassess things and see how I want to move forward. So that means that there won't be any Halloween or Christmas bags. So I've at least given myself until the end of this calendar year to just kind of take a mental break from that, kind of focus on personal making, stuff that I want to make for myself or even gifts, and just do some other creative things, not just knitting. I have, for just an example, I have a ton of purse patterns, clothing patterns, things like that I've kind of acquired over the years that I really want to try out. It's just I have never had the time since I really got into sewing and started my business, which was kind of back to back. So I just want to take a little break and try some of those things out and not feel the pressure I put on myself to just kind of make more and more and more. And it's hard for me because as the business side of me is very people pleasing. Had a little interruption there. Okay. So as I was saying, honestly, I don't even know where I left off. So basically I just, I need to just take a step back and take a break. And I'm sure all of you understand, you've been there in your lives. So I just the people pleasing part of me, I've had people contact me via Instagram or whatever, or email, and saying they missed out on this bag or that bag or whatever, and if I was going to make more, or if I could do like a special order or things like that. And while it is super flattering that you enjoy my work, my craftsmanship, the part of me like that hates saying no, where it's like, yes, I could do that, but at the same time I have to say no. I have to say no and take that stress off of my plate, for my mental health, physical health, all those things, and just kind of rebalance things. So hopefully all of that made sense. And I don't know where I will be going with the shop, how that looks. I've kind of thought about a few things, but I do know that I'm just, as much as it pains me to do this, for now, for the next 3 months or whatever, I'm just saying no. I'm not making anything unless it's for myself, and just taking a breather. So yeah, if you have a drink, let's, I have iced coffee this afternoon. Side note. So on top of that, another reason why I've kind of like, let me take a step back from the shop is, I'm like 99% sure that I've decided for next year I'm going to do like a low buy or no buy for like crafting stuff. And for me, what that's going to look like is, not buying any yarn. I know I've talked about this before, really wanting to do some stash busting. So there's that. And part of that, I feel bad or maybe guilty if I'm saying that, like, I'm not going to be buying any products from anyone, whether it's yarn related, notions, whatever. I'm taking a step back and not spending my money, but then I don't want to turn around and have bags for sale and be like, but please spend your money on me. Something about that just doesn't sit right with me, so I don't want to do that. So we'll see how this all fleshes out. So that's the other thing. I've kind of started it now, cutting back, being more on a low buy kind of thing. But I think next year it's really going to be like full on low buy, no buy. If you've ever heard those terms before, most people use them for other categories in their life. But for me, it's going to be crafting things. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of struggling right now, between just kind of mentally, I'm just kind of struggling between my job, my full-time job, and the mental, physical taxation it's taking on me. I'm trying to refocus, exercising more, trying to eat more healthy, and just be an overall healthier person and less stress. And something had to give, and that was the thing that had to give, unfortunately. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of the long-winded explanation for you guys. I wanted to throw that out there. So, maybe you can relate. Maybe you've been in a similar situation and you understand how I'm feeling. Especially if you run a small business and maybe you have, all your family needs that you take care of, or you do have a full-time job too, on top of your family, or whatever, like all of the things that life can throw at you. And sometimes you just have to take a step back and say, I can't do this right now. I just need to focus on other things, focus on myself, and whatever that looks like for you. So that's what I'm doing. And I was also thinking too, I I was going through some things. Like I said, everything's a mess. I have some project bags that I kept from previous collections that I'm just not really into anymore. So I was thinking of doing a destash on my website for those, you know, just making them at cost, whatever it would, you know, cost me to make them kind of thing. Cause did use them, not that they're dirty or anything, but, just, you know, kind of priced like that. So if anybody would be interested in those, I'm going through those kinds of things right now and just getting rid of the stuff that I don't use anymore, that doesn't speak to me. And I was thinking the same for fabric or fabric scraps. I know a lot of people are into English paper piecing right now because, you know, the crazy sock lady had been talking about it on her channel, and a lot of people are really like jumping on that bandwagon, and that's awesome. And I have a lot of scraps. I was thinking of just putting like a gallon Ziploc bag together, just throwing some in there and pricing them super cheap on my website just to get them out of my room. So if that's something that you would be interested in, just leave me a comment, and, you know, maybe I can put some things up there. It would just be thrown together. There would be no like theme or specific, like seasonal or whatever. It would just be a bunch of scraps thrown together. I don't keep super small scraps. They're usually like squares or like strips or things like that you would have to cut down if you are an English paper piecer. So just keep that in mind. If that's something that you're interested in, it'd be a super cheap way to get some fabric. And if you wanted to get into English paper piecing, that might be a more affordable way for you to try it out. So just kind of throwing that out there. It's just, I hate keeping stuff around that I know I'm not going to use. And a lot of that stuff is just, I don't want to throw it away. I feel bad for throwing it away, but I also don't want to use it for anything. So it's kind of like, well, what do I do with it? Kind of deal. So, so there's all that. Hopefully you stuck around for that explanation. I thought I would do that up front. So, so on the website right now, all I have are some progress keepers. I have a couple of, I think I have like 3 or 4 progress keepers on there. Some of the Yarn Nerd ones that you guys have seen. And I have my Sock Madness Forever project bags. I have a few in each style, snap, drawstring, and zipper available. And those are 20% off right now. They're marked down. Those are marked down 20%, no code. It's automatically discounted. So if you're looking for a project bag, my shop is very thin right now on items. So, and I know some of you commented on the last video that I put up about how you would be interested in Christmas bags and things like that. So again, I'm sorry for that if you were hoping that I would have some that you could choose from, just not this year. So we'll see what the future holds as far as my shop. And my apologies if you see the light keep shifting in and out. I keep having to mess with my settings because it's in the afternoon and the light kind of is going in and out. So now I'm looking really bright. Okay, so let's get to the knitting. I have quite a few things to show you and talk about. So let's just start with finished objects. So the first one I have to show you, we're almost done last time. These are my wintry mix socks. So these are a Yarnable colorway called Wintry Mix. I believe it was from December of 2021. And it's such a beautiful variegated colorway. I love it. These are going to be a gift for Christmas, and I'm super happy to add these to the stack. I knit these on 2mm needles, magic loop. I did 20 rounds for the cuff, 40 rounds for the leg, heel flap and gusset, and a rounded toe. So there's those. And my next finished pair, none of these, the rest of these you haven't seen. Obviously I hadn't even started these yet, but I did talk about these, I think, before in previous videos if you've watched old episodes. So I finished another pair of shorties for myself. Ooh, look at those. Aren't those so cute? These are the Rosie and Blackjack colorway from Granite State Yarns. And I had half of this skein left. The black mini is from Breaking Yarn. It's called Jane Margolis. And I had made a pair of fingerless mitts, Swing Your Partner fingerless mitts last year out of the other half of this, and I had saved the leftovers. I can't even talk. I had saved the leftovers for a pair of socks, and I'd been hoarding it for a while, and it sat and it was staring at me, and I was like, I'm knitting these up, And this was literally the last pair I got done before the end of summer stock camp. I finished these on August 31st, and I love them. So I did 2 rounds, the cast on in 2 rounds for the cuff with the black, just for a pop of color. And then I did the last bit of decreases on the toe in the black. So just using tiny, tiny bits. And I did my normal shorty recipe, 8 round cuff, 3 rounds for the leg. And these were also knit on 2mm needles, magic loop. So, okay, so there's that. And my next finished object is a pair of fingerless mitts. I will try these on for you and show you what they look like on. So these are made out of Moonglow Yarn Co. in her Sweater Weather Cashmerino base. There you go. And it is an 80-10-10. So 80% superwash merino, 10% nylon, and 10% cashmere. And they are so super soft. So here's what they look like on. And I did 25 rounds for the cuff on the arm. And then I believe I did 20 rounds before I started the thumb gusset here. So for these, I mixed 2 different patterns that I've used before. So I did... I used the thumb gusset instructions from the Swing Your Partner Fingerless Mitts by the Crazy Sock Lady. And then for the fingers, the counts and stuff, I used the Koi Goo Fingerless Gloves pattern. And it's on my Ravelry project page for these if you go look. And that gives you counts on how many stitches to do for each, how many to pick up, how many to cast on, etc. And then I just tried them on as I went. And I did knit these concurrently on separate needles. Funny enough, I started doing these, I do 2 at a time. I did the cuffs, put them on the same needle, knit them for like 10 rounds, 2 at a time. And I was like, nope, I just can't do it. My tension just goes all kinds of crazy. It does not work for me at all. So I put them back on separate needles, and then I did like one section on one section on the other. I got, the pieces done at the same time. I did each finger on each glove at the same time, so that they would be the same length. And what I wanted was something that was a little bit longer, but I still had my fingertips free for, like driving, texting, whatever, so I could use them. Not driving and texting, but you get what I mean. So yes, super happy to have these for the winter. That's when I wanted them for, is with the cold weather coming up, going out grocery shopping, whatever. Or if I'm in the house and maybe it's a little colder, my hands are cold because, my fingers can get cold, and I just want something where I can still access my fingers if I'm typing or something, and I want to keep my hands warm. So there's those. And I wanted just a solid color, no pattern or anything. So there we have it. So I had it in my notes. I wanted to talk about these really quick. I know in my last video I had talked about how I was kind of tired of the heel flap and gusset, and I wanted to try something new. I was looking for a short row heel that really gave you kind of a rounded edge around the back of the heel, and I wasn't able to find anything. And a lot of you suggested Afterthought heels or the Fleegle heel. I have tried both of those, and I've showed those off in the past and talked about those. And the Fleegle heel, I just don't care for it. It's also for a toe up, even though I know you can do it cuff down, but it actually creates too much room for my feet, because it is a much wider gusset than a heel flap and gusset. The way that it's originally constructed, I'm sure you could modify it to be less, but anyway, and then the Afterthought heels, I just don't care for those. I tried that out and it's just not my jam. So for this, I started out and I had knit pretty much to here, and I had done a shadow wrap heel. I'd done a modified shadow wrap heel, which I think I talked about the last time, and it was just too tight. I don't know if I was being extra crazy with my tension. I'm trying to make sure that it wasn't loose, and so I frogged it because I'm like, this just isn't going to feel comfortable. So I frogged it, and because I wanted to get these done before the end of summer sock camp, so I had no socks on the needles, I just went ahead and did a heel flap and gusset on these. So I wanted to mention that because my next finished object kind of goes with that. So I just finished these this morning. So this is another Granite State yarn. This is called Leaf Peepin'. That's the main color, and the contrast it came with it that she sent to me. It's called Sunflower. And for these, as you can see, I did a short row heel. So I did a modified shadow wrap short row heel on both of them. And it's great. So what went wrong with the other one, it was too tight and they were too short. Because I did my normal shorty pattern on the Rosie and Blackjack socks. I did my 8-round cuff, I did 3 rounds with the leg, started in with the shadow wrap heel. Not realizing that for me, how I was knitting it, I did 10 stitches in the middle and did 11 shadow wraps on each side, if you're familiar with the process. It would only do 22 rows. I didn't think about that ahead of time, and so it made the back shorter. Because a heel flap for me, I do 32 rows. So it wasn't as tall. So that was part of the reason that I ripped it out. So for these, I changed my formula and I did my 8-round cuff, but then I did 10 rounds for the leg. And then did the short row heel. So it was essentially the same height. They hit right around the same. So that worked out. And this modified version, I actually learned from the Chili Dog on YouTube, and it's amazing for 2 reasons. One, it eliminates the triplet stitches, which I hated. I hated with the original shadow wrap heel because having 3 stitches on the needle and having to either knit through them because you do a knit 2 together or purl 3 together or whatever, you know what I mean? It created a lot of bulk. It made it hard to do. I just didn't enjoy it. So this version eliminates that. So basically what you do is you do your first half of the heel, and then you place markers between at the beginning of where your non-worked stitches are at the beginning and the end. And then you go around, you work those twin stitches, go around, you do 2 full rounds in between, doing the first and second half of the heel. And then you go back, and when you work to where your first twin would have been, and you make a twin again, blah, 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 and you just go back and forth and make the rows longer. And so you're only doing twin stitches and twin stitch purls. And that 2 rounds in between, I really feel like it rounds the edges of the wedge part. It looks a little softer, and then when I have it on my foot, it really hugs the heel. There's no extra like little, I guess, mouse ear type looking thing on it. And so I really like that. And these fit pretty good. So I don't know. I like that I have this version in my back pocket if I ever feel like doing something different. And we'll see how that goes. So, but it's good. If you want to try this out, you can just look up her modified shadow wrap heel, or I think it's shadow wrap heel variation. She's got 2 different videos now that do it 2 different ways, but I did the older version. She just came out with one recently. So in case you're wondering. So there's those. And that's all my finished objects. Are you still with me after all of that? Okay. So one thing I wanted to mention that I realized about that shadow wrap heel versus the heel flap and gusset is you actually have to wind up doing more purl rows than a heel flap, because the first half of the shadow wrap is 22, for me anyway, and then the second half is 22. Well, guess what? You knit and then you purl back. You knit and you purl back. You know, you do back and forth, doing your short rows. And so that actually ends up being more purl rows than a heel flap and gusset. And that's my least favorite part, is purling. So, you know, what are you going to do? Yeah. It's just one of those things, you know, it's just one of those things where you're like, I should have thought about that. On to works in progress. Let's get into it. So The first thing I want to show you is some progress on my Hocus Pocus shawl. Just really quick, I'm still on the third color. I don't think I'm going to have this done by the end of September like I had planned, but you know, we'll get there. I'm still shooting for, uh-oh, my hook fell out. I'm still shooting for the end of October, and if I get it done by then, I will be happy. So I don't know how to show this, but there we go. Ooh, you can see the color difference now really well. So I'm 4 rows into the third color, and I think I said I predicted there would be about 10. So there's that. Just a quick update on that. And I'm still just trying to do 2 rows a week, and so far we're good. I still have to do my 2 rows for this week. I wanted to give you something I haven't shown in a while, an update on my Granite State Yarns Granny Square blankets. So because I finished the Rosie and Blackjack socks, I was actually able to add those leftovers in. So that's exciting. So there is the end of that. So this, you know, this color at the top, that's the Rosie and Blackjack. So I added that in, and I actually have the leftovers from my leaf peepin' socks in there to add. So that'll be probably a couple rounds to add in. And I can't really show this because it's huge. So this is actually not a granny square. This is more of a rectangle. I altered the pattern, if you're new, to make it more of a rectangle versus a square shape by the time it's done. So there's that. Just wanted to show that extra color in there. And my next work in progress, I just started today. I'll show it to you before I get to my last one. I have in this bag, I had a pre-order for these, my pumpkin harvest bags. So I am using, I just cast these on. I am using some leftover yarn that I did a test knit out of, a sock test knit. Oh my gosh. And this is from Daisy Stitch Co. If you're not new around here, you know I love her. I have a lot of her yarn. And those are the colors. It is Harvest with Mulled Merlot and Caramel Corn. So we have Mulled Merlot and Caramel Corn. And, oh, okay. And then here's the main color. You can see all those beautiful fall tones. Love that. And I am ready for the heel flap. I love shorties for that reason. I can start a sock and pretty much be on the foot in one day. And I love that. So here I did the cuff and my 3 rounds of leg. And I will probably put the heel flap in tonight, or at least start it. And I was trying to decide before I started, do I want to do the toes and the cuffs, you know, alternate these colors, or how did I want to do them? You know, because this came as a set. And then I thought to myself, you know, you don't have to use them if you don't want to, or you can just use one. So I decided I'm going to do the toes in the Mulled Merlot, because the main skein is really beautiful. That test knit sock that I did, it's just such a beautiful speckled variegated colorway. So I just decided I'm just going to use the Mulled Merlot, and I'll put the Caramel Corn in my stash of solid colors to use on something at a later time. So there we go. Okay, so my last work in progress, I actually started a jelly roll blanket. I have jumped on the bandwagon, and I can see now, after starting this, why they love this pattern. It is so mindless. It is the perfect just knit back and forth, knit back and forth. It's just completely relaxing and meditative, and I am really loving it so far. So I'll tell you what I'm doing in a minute, but I'll show you what I have so far. So here is my first strip. And I'm using, there's the yarn. I am using full skeins of my zebra yarn. So I have like 7 or 8 sock sets from Zebra Yarns from a couple of years ago. And I had them all in a bag, and I had this idea of doing a self-striping blanket of some sort or whatever. And I just hadn't come up with what I wanted to do or really decided on it. And so I decided to go ahead and try this out. And I really love the way that the stripes are kind of fading together. You know, you have this like, they're not perfectly, you know, striped, but you've got like a little bit of a fade in there. I really am loving the way this is looking, and it looks so fun. So I'm excited to work on this more. So it'll be all zebra yarns. I'm going to make a blanket with just that. I am holding the skein or the yarn double. So I'm doing a DK weight, and I'm pulling from the inside and outside of the cake. And at first I tried to line up the stripes to see if I could get a solid stripe effect, and it didn't work. And I just decided, you know what, we're just gonna let the yarn do whatever it wants to, however it turns out. And I think that was a good decision. So originally when I started this, I started it on circulars, and all the extra cord flopping around, even on my shortest cable, was driving me crazy. And so I was trying to think of ways to do straights, because I missed out on the signature needle straights thing, and they don't have the size that I want. And trying to find straight needles that are like the 7-inch that they had is pretty much impossible. I could not find any manufacturer that or brand that makes a 7-inch straight needle. They're either all like 10, 14. I think Addie might have had an 8-inch, but I didn't love the tip that they had on it. And so my solution in the interim was I took my ChowGoo interchangeable set, and I took these are called X-Flex cables that you can get by themselves, or you can get, I think they come with the Shorties interchangeable set. But anyway, I took the X-Flex cable, and I just put that on the end with one of the stoppers that came with my interchangeable, and I just made 2 straights, and those were working. These square stoppers, they do get kind of tangled around the yarn, especially when I had the yarn tail kind of flopping around or whatever when you're going back and forth. But these worked. They equaled about 8. It was like 8 or so inches, because the cord itself is 2 inches, and then you have the little stopper bit, blah, blah, blah. So it's about 8. So that was working. Then I decided, you know, maybe I'll just look for some DPNs, you know, and see about that. So these are on some Knitter's Pride Zing DPNs, and I'm using a 3.5. However, I'm going to return these because I got these in the mail the other day, and I just, for this particular blanket, I don't know if you can see how blunt the tip is compared to, let's show you the comparison. Compared to the ChowGoo. The ChowGoo is not super sharp, but they are a little bit pointier, and I like them more. So I ordered some ChowGoo DPNs in this size. That should be here, I think, tomorrow or Saturday. And they're 6-inch. These are 8-inch, so I'm hoping the 6-inch will be okay for this. So we'll see. I don't expect to have this cake of yarn into a strip anytime soon. I'm just kind of working on it as I feel like it, and I want to pick up something, you know, just to do a couple rows on, and it's mindless, and I'm really liking it for that. I did do a test swatch, I won't show that, with some other yarn where I did some different joining methods to kind of see what I liked. So I haven't really 100% decided on how I'm going to join my strips. I kind of thought about using my sewing machine. I saw someone on Instagram do this with their crochet granny squares. They actually zigzag stitched them together instead of seaming them. And I contemplated doing that with these, just making the strips with the yarn that I wanted, and sewing them together with my sewing machine. But I don't know. I'm undecided, because I really want a flat seam. I want them to be flat seam together. I would prefer that, but like I said, we'll see. I haven't decided completely yet. Or maybe I need to do some different test swatches with other yarn, and make a few small pieces and sew them together and see how that works. Because I'm more worried about the integrity of it staying together. I don't have any experience in that. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. So there's my jelly roll blanket. I am doing a DK. And I do have plans for another one. And I'll just go ahead and talk about it now. So I talked about my Area 51 Fibers yarn that I love her stripes so, so much. But I hate the yarn base. I don't like 80/20 yarn. That's not to say anything bad about her, so don't get it misconstrued. I just hate that yarn base. I just do. So I have a ton of her yarn. And so I got the idea in my brain that I could make strips out of all of her yarn, you know, just one color, one strip, and use up the full skein. And I have some minis to go with it as well, so I don't know what to do with those exactly. But, and it would just be an Area 51 Fibers blanket. Self-striping, it'd be really cool. I could group all of like my Halloween and Christmas colors together and just kind of go with that format. So that's what I'm thinking for that. That's obviously later down the road, maybe when this one's done, because I have so much more of the Area 51 Fibers yarn than the zebra yarns. Like, it would be, the blanket would be massive. It's a lot. I probably have a good 100 gram skeins, if not more, of her yarn. There's a lot. So it's that's a future project for sure. So there's that. And that's all my works in progress. So now I want to talk about the Gilmore Girls Cowl, the Knit People Knit 2023 cowl that Leah of Leah Loves to Knit is hosting. If you remember, I am doing a sponsored bag for it, and I've got my bag out. It starts tomorrow. I'm recording this on Thursday. If I didn't say that, I don't think I did. And I have my first skein of yarn that I'm going to knit up ready to go. I need to cake it up tonight. So I am knitting up first from Leap of Faith Yarns, her Harvest Festival colorway. And these colors are just amazing in here. I really, really love this. So I actually think I've decided that I'm not going to use the mini. I'm going to take the mini and I think I'm going to throw it in my solid stash because these colors are just so beautiful that I just want them to be a pair of socks all by themselves. I seriously cannot wait. I'm so excited to work with all of the yarns that I have. So I want to talk about that. You'll see that on the next episode. I will have cast it on. Who knows? There may already be a sock done by the time I record again. Maybe a pair of socks. We'll see if they just knit themselves up. So there's that. And yeah. Oh, I have one acquisition. That's it. Since the last time we spoke, I ordered new yarn, a new colorway from Breaking Yarn. This is her Coin Flip is Sacred colorway. And this is obviously much lighter than the Gray Matter. So she's Gray Matter, which is a darker gray. And then you have this, which she describes as more of a silver gray. So like a coin. And I bought the fingering weight version so that I can have it as another solid in my stash for heels, toes, cuffs, or anything where I want to add, just a neutral color. So I'm super happy about that. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future videos that I upload. And I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.